Hello, welcome to HR Proactive's program on accessibility standards for customer service. The goal of this video DVD is to enhance your skills and comfort level in assisting people with disabilities. The program will add to your understanding of the needs and requirements of customers, coworkers, and members of the public with disabilities, and give you tools that will help you create a safe and welcoming environment for everyone. This training program will also provide answers to questions you may have about assisting persons with disabilities.
In 2005, the Ontario government took a significant step towards building a more accessible province when it passed the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act 2005. It called for the development of mandatory province-wide standards for accessibility in 5 key areas of daily living: customer service, information and communications, employment, transportation, and built environment. As of January 1, 2012, the Act legally required all organizations, both public and private, that provide goods or services either directly to the public or to other organizations in Ontario, third parties, and that have 1 or more employees in Ontario, to
develop and post workplace policies, practices, and procedures on providing goods or services to customers with disabilities.
Use reasonable efforts to ensure the policies, practices, and procedures reflect the core principles of independence, dignity, integration, and equality of opportunity.
For example, a coffee shop might have a policy which states that waitstaff should read the bill to a customer who is blind or has low vision. A florist shop might have a small notepad and pen available by the cash register for customers who are deaf to write notes. Establish a policy to allow customers with disabilities to use their own personal assistive devices to access your goods and services. For example, a cane, wheelchair, or oxygen tank.
Communicate with a person with a disability in a manner that takes into account his or her disability. For example, a hospital provides sign language interpreters to patients who are deaf and use American Sign Language, ASL. When a patient that is deaf is admitted who does not understand ASL, the hospital learns from her that she is comfortable communicating back and forth in writing or by typing. The hospital is therefore taking into account the patient's disability and preferred method of communicating.
Train staff, volunteers, and any other people who interact with the public on your behalf or are involved in developing your policies, practices, and procedures on how to provide accessible customer service. Allow people with disabilities to bring a service animal with them to areas of your premises that are open to the public or other third parties. If the animal is prohibited by another law, use other measures to provide service to the person with a disability. Permit people with disabilities who use a support person to bring that person with them, and where admission fees are charged, provide notice ahead of time on what admission, if any, would be charged for that support person. For example, a person with a disability goes to meet with her doctor along with her support person. Before discussing confidential information in front of the support person, the doctor simply seeks the consent of the person with a disability. Provide notice when facilities or services that people with disabilities rely on to access your goods or services are temporarily disrupted. Establish a process for people to provide feedback. Explain how you will respond to any feedback and what action you will take on any complaints. Make the information about your feedback process readily available to the public. Make the information available in formats that take into account the needs of people with disabilities.
People with disabilities dine out, work, travel, shop, and do business. People with disabilities have spending power. A Royal Bank study released in the year 2000 estimated the spending power of people with disabilities to be $25 billion a year in Canada. Businesses that are accessible attract more customers and improve services for everyone. Seniors and people with disabilities will represent 20 to 25% of the Canadian recreation, retail, entertainment, workplace, and housing marketplaces in the next 10 years and beyond.
This training is also important because the AODA is a law, and the customer service standards are a part of that law. Harassment and discrimination on the basis of disability are against the law, and they are infractions of your employer's harassment policy. The legislation prohibiting discrimination against people who are disabled is the Ontario Human Rights Code, which gives each of us an equal opportunity to work and live without being hindered by discriminatory practices. The OHRC also ensures that people who require accommodation will receive it up to the point of undue hardship. An accessible environment is one that a person who has a disability can use, but may require some assistance to complete tasks. A barrier-free environment is one that people with disabilities can use without assistance. An example of the difference might be a building that has no stairs but has doors that might be pulled or pushed to open. That would be an accessible building. A barrier-free building is one where there are no stairs and the doors open automatically, so a person who does not have the use of their arms and legs could enter and leave without assistance from others. This is an important distinction since the barrier-free environment maintains more dignity and control for people with disabilities. Another aspect of a barrier-free environment is one where people with disabilities are valued for their contributions and supported by the organization, their supervisors, and their coworkers. These are the values that are inherent in the employer's policies. Specifically, a barrier-free workplace values all employees for their contributions, listens to their employees' requests and suggestions for customer service accommodations, considers requests for accommodations without prejudice, treats everyone with dignity and respect, does not tolerate unfair behavior toward coworkers or customers who have disabilities. The employer can be held liable for the actions of its employees, particularly employees in positions of authority like supervisors and managers, if they knew about the accessibility issue and did nothing to improve the situation. Supervisors and managers are responsible for their own actions and can be held personally liable if they violate the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, or AODA. Employees are responsible for their own actions and can be held liable as personal respondents in a complaint of poor customer service. The legal reasons aside, harassment and discrimination issues in the workplace can have significant and adverse effects on employees. It can affect productivity, morale, absenteeism, and the general health and well-being of everyone in the workplace. Remember, customer service starts from within your organization or business in terms of how we treat each other. The definition of the workplace means more than the four walls of a building. The responsibility of the staff is to provide customer service to clients, coworkers, and third-party contractors. Anywhere a work function is held, the employees are required to ensure a barrier-free experience wherever it is possible. If it is not possible to create a barrier-free environment, then accommodations must be implemented to the point where people with disabilities can participate with others to the best of their abilities. It is not acceptable to denigrate anyone's involvement on the basis of their disabilities. For example, we cannot always tell who has a disability. Disability as defined under the AODA and the Human Rights Code is as follows. 1. Any degree of physical disability, infirmity, malformation, or disfigurement that is caused by bodily injury, birth defect, or illness, and without limiting the generality of the foregoing. This includes diabetes mellitus, epilepsy, a brain injury, and degree of paralysis. It also includes amputation, lack of physical coordination, blindness or visual impediment, deafness or hearing impediment, muteness or speech impediment, or physical reliance on a guide dog or other animal, or on a wheelchair or other remedial appliance or device. 2. A condition of mental impairment or a developmental disability. 3. A learning disability or a dysfunction in one or more of the processes involved in understanding or using symbols or spoken language. 4. A mental disorder. And 5. An injury or disability for which benefits were claimed or received under the insurance plan established under the Workplace Safety Insurance Act, 1997. For example, a person with a brain injury has a disability that is not visible. A person with arthritis has a disability that over time may increase in severity. If you're not sure how to help a person with a disability, ask, "May I help you?" People with disabilities know if they need help and will tell you how you can provide it. Speak directly to the person. If you can't understand what the person is saying, politely ask them to repeat it. Try to understand the person's needs. Focus on meeting those needs as you would with anyone. Remember, some disabilities are non-visible, and not everyone with the same disability experiences the same things. Above all, be patient. Most of us are used to seeing a guide dog accompany people with vision loss, but service animals also can be helpful to people with other disabilities. Service animals may help alert an individual who is deaf or hard of hearing to events around them. They can also warn a person of a seizure before it happens. Service animals must be allowed to go everywhere with their owner. This includes restaurants, elevators, and offices. In all situations, the owner is responsible for looking after the animal. Remember, service animals are working animals. You should never touch, call, or make eye contact with the animals. Don't distract them from their important job. Some people with disabilities will be with a support person. The support person might be a personal support worker, a volunteer, a family member, or a friend. Support persons may assist with speaking, mobility, personal or medical needs of a person with a disability. If you are not sure which person is the support person, simply ask. Always speak directly to the person with the disability and not the support person. Support persons can go anywhere with the person with a disability. If you discuss confidential matters with the person with a disability, make sure they want the support person present. People with disabilities may use devices such as wheelchairs, walkers, canes, or hearing aids. Always remember that these devices belong to the person using them and is part of their personal space. Do not lean on, reach over, or restrict the movement of a device.
Your workplace may have the following: adaptive keyboard, pointing device, communication boards, amplification device, screen reader, magnification device, teletypewriter TTY. If your workplace provides these devices, be sure you know how they work before using them with a person with a disability.
If a person with a disability has trouble accessing your services, be patient, positive, and flexible. Begin by asking how you can best help them. Here are a few typical situations and possible solutions. If a person is deaf without an interpreter, ask if using a pen and paper would help. If a person is in a wheelchair or has limited mobility, ask if you can help by bringing the items to them. If a person with vision loss is unable to read a sign, ask if you could read the information for them. If a person with a physical disability is unable to use doors, ask if you can hold the door open for them.
Service for people with disabilities can be disrupted in several ways. Disruptions include elevators that are out of order, computer networks that are down, public washrooms are closed for maintenance, or doors to buildings that are restricted. Try to be aware of service disruptions so you can direct individuals to other elevators or doors. If a service disruption occurs, notify your supervisor. Provide signs telling people that there is a disruption and when the service is expected to resume, and whether any alternative facilities or services are available. Your workplace must be ready to receive comments on the service it provides to people with disabilities. The feedback process is created by someone in charge within your workplace and must allow feedback to be provided in person, by telephone, in writing, by email, or by other electronic means. Responses to feedback must be communicated in a way that's accessible to the person with a disability. Privacy must be respected, and all feedback is to be reviewed for action that may be taken to improve customer service. It is hoped that this training has helped you begin to recognize the needs of individuals with disabilities and that you are committed to providing the highest standard of customer service to people with disabilities.